here's our friend Pat to tell her recovery story. Pat, thank you for sharing with us. Pat's been in for a few years, and she has a good recovery.
Great.
We're glad you're here. Pat, it's all you.
Thanks, Rick.
I am surprised because in getting ready for tonight, I looked up old emails about OA. And if you had asked me last week how long I'd been going to OA, I would have come up with a much different number, but it's actually longer. But that's okay, because higher power, whom I call God, has us each on our own journey. And that journey may not be, step 1 foot in the door, get complete recovery, and everything's, going smoothly, no slip-ups, no mess-ups, and I just, freedom. For some people it is. Some people, I met people. I went to a huge, several hundred people Vision for You conference, OA sponsored phone meeting conference where there were hundreds of people, and I met a bunch of people that said the 3rd step prayer, surrendered to God, figured out their trigger foods, and never had a slip again. I met a bunch of people like that. I'm not one of those people. My recovery has been a little circuitous, but I can see the blessings in the times when it wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And I'm gonna start and end with 3 things. One is keep trying. This program does work, but it doesn't work if we give up. And I've struggled my whole life with perfectionism. So I don't like falling flat on my face, and I don't like the failures. But if we keep trying, we will get there. And I'm standing up here as a testimony to you that not to give up. So keep trying is the first thing. If you keep trying, if you do not give up, you will get recovery. But one of the things I've found that has slipped me up a lot of times is forgetting the 3rd step prayer and forgetting that I can't do it. Because I start sailing along and I start not overeating and I thought, wow, look at what I'm doing. And that's a sure path for me to fall flat into the food again. Because I start thinking that I can do it. And I cannot do it. But there is a higher power that can do it. So we keep trying and we keep trusting. And part of that trusting is surrender. That just surrendering not just the food, but our emotions, the next right baby step, the what of the tools is God asking us to use to get recovery. Surrendering perfectionism, surrendering that I'm going to do this perfectly, and just asking God for help when we feel like we don't have any answers or that we're not going to make it. And so we're going to keep trying, we're going to keep trusting, and part of that trust is being okay about when we fall, is remembering step 1. Because I found the other thing with my long history, family history of perfectionism, is I forget that I'm powerless over the disease of compulsive overeating. And I forget that it's a disease. So if I forget it's a disease and I forget that I'm powerless, then it's real easy to fall right back into it. And what I thought I'd do is show you a little bit of my history. I would have told you this was about 6 or 8 years ago. I just found an email that said I went to my first OA meeting in 2008. So we're talking, how long is that? 11 years ago. I didn't realize it was that long ago. Now, I put this in terms of weight, but as many of you know, compulsive overeating doesn't always reflect in weight. That's one manifestation of the disease of compulsive overeating. I had morbid obesity. Morbid means death. I knew at that weight, with a family history of diabetes, I had 5 times increased rate of becoming diabetic and all the sequelae that go with diabetes. My grandfather went blind. He lost his leg. My mother had heart disease. She died in heart failure and renal failure. I had a strong family history of diabetes. I truly, truly stand before you and say it's only by the grace of God that I never became diabetic. I should have been. I mean, at my age and that weight, with that family history, it makes no sense logically that I did not become diabetic. And especially with my top food that I was addicted to was sugar, and anything that had sugar in it. Which is a lot of things if you start trying to avoid sugar. My graph is a weight graph, but people that are normal weight or underweight could have a recovery graph that looks different, but it's still freedom and serenity that comes from not being so morally demoralized, despairing, horrified at yourself, self-reproach because you turned to food once again. And it didn't solve your problems, and in fact, it made your problems worse. And it made your relationships worse. So I was here for a while, longer than I realized. I found a letter I wrote to somebody. It's a newcomers group from OA, December 2010. And it said, I tried OA about 1.5 years ago, but never really worked the steps, just went to meetings. And that's the first clue to recovery, is this doesn't work real well. Just coming to meetings is not recovery. And for me, all I can speak of for myself, just coming to meetings, not changing what I was eating, not really doing any step work, doesn't result in freedom from compulsive overeating. But it's amazing how we will do things that don't work. And I put 1.5 years, it felt more like 2 years. I would get up and go to the Saturday morning meeting for years without doing anything else, drag myself out of bed, leave my husband, go to that meeting, and I kept doing it. But so I must have heard some message of hope there, even though, because I wasn't losing a single pound and I wasn't getting any serenity from a meeting. But they said something at that meeting that I didn't like at all. They said that some people have to give up eating sugar. And how dare they say that? Because there was no way on earth that I could believe that there was a good God that would invent chocolate